Hi everyone, I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music, gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. And this lady that I'm about to introduce is an alternative pop artist known for blending Korean and English lyrics, elements of synth pop, rap, and EDM. She is a singer, a lyricist, and music producer, and she represents Korea. She is also the founder of Ehelia Records, which promotes diversity and aims to break the mold of the major record company standards. So please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Sil-A. Hi, Sil-A. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you? Welcome to my podcast. Glad to have you here. And when I first saw you on LinkedIn, I said, let me interview some different diversity of artists who loves soul music and today's hip hop and R&B. And when you have responded, I said, okay, she responded, but she's from Korea. So I said, let me find out the time difference. So I said, you know what? I'm going to interview everybody of all artists from all around the world, from the U.S. to Canada to the U.K. to Nigeria. And now I'm interviewing for the first time an artist from the Far East. So I said, yes! And that's what it should be all about. Music brings people together. And since your record label has a diversity of everybody who loves hip hop and R&B, and I said, this could be a good guest to be on my podcast. In other words, I wanted to be like Dick Clark and Don Cornelius and Casey Kasem. That was in my lifetime where they interviewed everybody when they're young or middle-aged artists and everyone. So now it is my mission to interview you on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited as well to be here.
Okay. Now, as I always say, America doesn't know who you are. The world doesn't know who you are. So it's my pleasure to interview you on my show. So let us begin, shall we?
Yes, thanks.
Now, where were you born?
Well, I'm actually originally from the States, so I was born in Memphis, but I was raised in Tampa, Florida. So I call myself a Floridian. Yeah.
Okay. Memphis, Tennessee, and Florida. Those are the states that I knew from back then.
Mhm.
Now, were your parents in the music industry or any of your family relatives in the music industry, or did they have 9 to 5 day jobs?
Well, actually, they weren't part of the industry. They went between 9 to 5s. They did have some interest in entrepreneurship. So they did end up starting their own business, but not involved in anything on the music side or part of the creative side. Yeah.
And which high school did you go to?
Well, I graduated from Blake High School. Before, people didn't really know much about it. It's a performing arts high school. But recently it's finally getting some more recognition because I don't know if you know Doechii. She recently won a Grammy and she's also a Blake High graduate and we're actually from the same graduating class. So now people are starting to know about her school, which I think is great because it was honestly, I still look to this day as the best experience of my life getting to be surrounded by creative people and getting to, like spend every day doing what I love. So I'm a very, very proud Yellow Jacket.
Okay, I see you mentioned the name Doche, because one of my paternal cousins was a member of the Recording Academy, and she was watching the Grammy Awards this year. So I said, "Oh," because I didn't see the whole Grammy telecast back in February. I was
Mm.
just concentrating on Beyonce for her country album. But I did see a part of it on my Facebook homepage from the BET Awards and getting her award and to make sure that our black voices needs to be heard. In other words, on my podcast, my mission is to tell my audience that there's a lot of black music stories out there that needs to be told and needs to be exposed. So that is my mission, and hopefully, maybe someday I may interview Doche. You never know.
Yeah, anything's possible. And I love that. I think uplifting our voices is very important, and that's also something I would like to do with my platform as well. So very, like, very, very, very excited about that.
Okay. And which college did you go to?
Well, I graduated from USF, University of South Florida. And actually, before that, I had wanted to study abroad because I've always been really interested in other countries. So I was in the UK for my first year of college, and I planned to do my degree there, but I ended up wanting to come back home. So I came back and I finished my degree in my hometown in Tampa.
And
Yeah.
what was your major in college?
Well, in college, I had a moment where, I had just graduated. I knew I always wanted to be in the creative field. But, there was the noise from society telling me, "Oh, you need to get a normal job or you have to pursue like that's not a real career." So I was trying to find something else I was interested in. And at that time I was introduced to Korea and I was really interested in moving to Korea. So I decided, oh, what field, might potentially help me get over there. And so I studied linguistics. But I do really regret not studying music. I took some classes, but it wasn't my major. So I really wish if I could go back, I wish I had, stuck with my gut and just, gone for what I wanted. Yeah.
And who did you want it to be when you grow up?
Well, ever since I can remember, I always wanted to be a star. Is the only way I can say it. Like when I was in elementary school, my email was soon to be a star because I just loved everything about performing. I when I watched TV, when I watched movies, I wanted to be the one on the screen. I did plays, I did musicals, ever since I was little. So I've always just wanted to express myself creatively ever since I can remember.
And how old were you when you started singing and writing songs?
Well, like I said, I feel like ever since I was, I could talk, I love to sing. But the age that always sticks out to me is 9. At that age, I remember actually like writing just books and books full of songs, and it was just really how I could express myself and let out my feelings. I grew up in a very conservative household, so oftentimes I had to like listen to music in secret and download things, in my room, just trying to like get in touch with that side of myself. And how I really dealt with it was through songwriting. So it really helped me as a child. That's really how I grew up, just writing songs. Yeah.
Was being a singer and songwriter your calling?
I think so. Because like I said, from a young age, even before I really knew what I was doing, I was just writing songs just because it felt good, just because it made me happy, or it helped me through the bad times in my life. So I feel like it's always just been a natural part of me. And my family wasn't very supportive of my interests, so I had to beg, and I had to beg to go to Blake High School. And still I wanted to pursue music, but they didn't really give me the opportunity to. So it wasn't until I moved out and I became an adult that I kind of got the idea, like, wow, I can be a singer. Like that's a possibility. And ever since then, it's felt completely right for me.
Now, when you moved to Korea, did Korean radio play your favorite American artist?
Well, that's a good question. I feel like there are some popular artists, like when a song gets really popular on the Billboard, that kind of thing. You can hear it ever so often, but I think mostly K-pop is what you hear the most often in the streets. They're always playing music, so you do hear some American artists here and there, but it's mostly Korean popular music. Yeah.
Now, growing up, who was some of your favorite American singers?
Okay. Like I mentioned, I didn't really have that much access to music growing up. So I started out with like the popular artists from what I heard from my peers and what, was popular in the classroom. People would play something. So Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, they stuck out to me because they're very bright, they're very colorful, and I always resonated with that. Even as a kid, I was like, I want to dress like Lady Gaga. And my parents are like, what? You can't, So I think I had that influence from a young age of just wanting to be bold and do something out of the box. And then during middle school, I went through a little bit of, like teenage angst phase, and I got really into grunge and rock music. So a lot of like Nirvana, Hole, The Used, those were bands that I ended up also drawing inspiration from, because that music spoke to me during that time in my life, and I still come back to it from time to time. It feels really nostalgic. Yeah.
And who were your musical influences? You mentioned Lady Gaga and Katy Perry. Who were some of the others besides those two?
You mean as a child or now?
Now.
Now? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So now there's a lot of artists who inspire me. Billie Eilish is one of them. Yule, uh, Rico Nasty, Ashniko. They all do alternative music. They have, very expressive styles. And so when I see them, it really makes me feel like, you can do this, you can bring your vision to life, and there are people who are going to enjoy it. I think the seeing that representation really really keeps me going.
Now, how did you came up with the name Scylla? That's Sil-A. How did you came up with the name?
Well, actually, that name was given to me by a Korean friend of mine. Koreans, they tend to shorten things even within their own language. So, as you know, like my full name is Priscilla, but one day my friend called me Scylla, and I was like, oh, I like that. And kind of ever since then, I kind of adopted the name, and now I go by it in my personal life as well because it just feels right to me. Yeah.
And how did you came up with the name of your record label, Ehelia Records?
Well, the story of that is honestly, it feels surreal sometimes. 'Cause sometimes I feel like it's very rare for something to come to you almost subconsciously and it not be like like a decision. Um, the name Ophelia first came to me when I was recording a song that a producer had sent to me. It was a very like minimal like experimental electronic song, and so I felt like I wanted to keep the vocals simple. And so I just started saying like orphanophilia, orphanophilia. And in my head, um, Oth- Ethelia was this persona of also kind of like going back to my childhood and those kinds of feelings. And I developed it into kind of like a persona of the fantasy world meeting the real world. So Ethelia is like this fantasy world in where like music and creativity can thrive without, like the barriers of society. And the name really just came to me randomly, but then I kind of like attached that personal connection to it. So I feel like it was just meant to be, I guess.
Now, how many years or months your record label was in existence?
Well, I founded Ethelia around this time last year, so we actually just had our first birthday. But we have just been recently getting more active, so I'm so excited for, what's to come because we're really just now getting started.
And what's the format of your record label? Is it today's hip hop and R&B, dance, pop, EDM, or all of the above?
Right. So also, as I have been in the industry, I noticed that sometimes, people say you need to stick to one genre, you need to stick to like, put yourself in this box. And I am not a fan of that because like I mentioned, I love so many kinds of music, pop, rock, electronic. So I really wanted to create a label that, could be inclusive and give artists that chance to experiment in whatever genre. If one day they want to be a rock star, that's fine. The next day they want to be a pop star. I don't want to put any limits on that. So we are open and accepting of, any genre, any style, as long as it aligns with, our vision and what we want to do. We're open to everyone and everything.
Now, your slogan is founded by creators for creators, independent artists to empower, not own them. Please share
Mhm.
with our audience on how your record label is different from the big major corporate record labels.
Right. So like I said, as I was in the industry, I noticed that, especially nowadays with the rise of technology and social media, a lot of record labels, they're only interested in profit. They're not interested in developing artists or artistry. They're just mostly interested in what's going to make them the most money. And as an artist myself, of course, I think you can agree. It just seems not just unfair, but it seems like going against the principle of art and creativity in itself. So when I created Ophelia, like I wanted to create a space where, we're most dedicated to the artistic vision. We're not just focused on the numbers or the profits or, those things. We want to dedicate our resources and our efforts into actually bringing someone's artistry to life and developing and taking the time to support, whatever the artist's vision is, even if it might not have the most sales or sell the most records, as long as, they're telling a story and they're creating something meaningful. That's, I feel like, is the most impactful thing. So that's really what makes us different from all the other labels.
Okay. Your record label promotes diversity and breaking the mold of major and corporate record labels. How many artists do you have so far, and how many new artists are you going to have in the near future?
Well, we're working and collaborating with a lot of artists right now. And in terms of the future, I really can't say like a certain limit. I feel like the sky's the limit because, like I said, we're all about diversity and, what really inspired me, even like being in Korea, is seeing how much of a global reach music can have. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from, it's possible to connect with people through music. So I would love to bring on, as many artists as we can support. And really, like I said, we're just getting started. There's so much in store. So once we begin to grow, I would love to, open arms to as many artists as who want to join us and be part of this.
Now, I got a chance to check out the tracks on Spotify of your record label with some various artists, and I let me tell you, those tunes are very danceable and funky. You mentioned K-pop and some of the other artists. So, as I asked earlier, how's your record label different from those record labels in the United States? You mentioned the record companies are dealing with profit, not dealing with artists.
Right. Yeah, so like I said, I've even had experiences, where people are signed to a major label, but then they're fighting with the label because, the music they want to make is maybe not what the label thinks is the most conventional thing. And so, they're like fighting with them. And I really want to support artists and, even if something it might not be the most popular or I think art is more than that and we have to accept like all parts of it. Sometimes, even with music, even with anything we create, it might not always be perfect. It might not always tick all the boxes of like, like a social media campaign or like it might not go viral, but I think there's much more to explore. So, of course, we love great music and I definitely, want to creating more of that. And there's a lot in store definitely coming soon.
Now, as your record label starts to grow, what do you like to see in your lifetime as your record label begins to grow with different diversity of artists?
Right. Well, I feel like honestly the sky's the limit. Um I most more than anything, I just want to see like building a community because I feel like we can be so divided. Um Everybody is, trying to make it to the top, but I truly genuinely believe that if we help each other, we lift each other up, we can all make it or get there even faster. So, I really want to bring together artists from all over the world. I'd love to do global tours. I'd love to, even hold conventions to help independent artists and, give them the tools to succeed. And I just really feel like we could even go as far as starting, a global K-pop group. We can really do something that's never been done before. That's really what I want to do. I want to make an impact. I want to do something that's never been seen before. So I feel like we're just getting started and there's just so much potential there. So I really can't wait to see what happens.
Okay. Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, which singer you wish you wanted to meet or to perform with?
That question is so hard. Um, because obviously there's so many great artists and I feel like there's always the pressure of, oh, you should pick someone who's no longer with us because I mean, when would that opportunity ever rise again, But I feel like I have to stay true to my true desire of what I want more than anything. And like I mentioned before, one of my biggest inspirations is Billie Eilish because not only do I like her music, but her albums have gotten me through some of the hardest times in my life. And also, as an artist, I really would like to have that same opportunity to get someone through a tough time. And so it's my dream. I would love to really open for her, collaborate with her, work with her, like putting it out into the universe. So I think I'll have to choose that because that's definitely my dream.
Alrighty. Now, here in the Black Soul Music Experience, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. Since I have you, Scylla, and since we're in like to today's hip hop and R&B craze, so we're about to do the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. Now, here's how it works. We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. We start at the bottom five. We figure out who is the best singer but didn't get any recognition. Then we get to the top five. We will find out who was the best artist who had the million selling albums of all time. Did that artist receive some top 10 number one hits? Did that artist receive a gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum or today's diamond platinum? Did that artist perform on American Bandstand or Soul Train or the Midnight Special or NBC's Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold? Or that they had their music video on BET, MTV, VH1, and all other music channels? Did that artist have their concert special on NBC or ABC? Or did they had their special on PBS, whether they were on Great Performances or they had that special during Pledge Month? Or did that artist have that live concert special on HBO or Showtime? So, Scylla, we're going to put you to the test. Are you ready for that challenge?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. Who should be at number 10?
So I have to pick anyone.
Anyone.
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Okay. Oh no. So it can be like current artists and past artists,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll put oh, I'm so scared to say anything. I'll put Usher at 10. Let's just start somewhere.
Okay, we'll put Usher at number 10. Started out in 1993 and had his debut hit Just Call Me a Mac from the movie Poetic Justice. Still performing today, and he still churn out those hits. And Usher's influence was the late Michael Jackson. When you see him performing on stage, he does all them dance and everything, the splits and everything. So he's still performing today, and we're going to put Usher at number 10. Who should be at number 9?
Oh Lord. Um, it's so hard to rank. Um, I just feel bad like placing anyone at the top or the bottom. Uh, Snoop Dogg.
Who's that?
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, Snoop Dogg. S N
Yeah.
O P D O G. Mm-hmm. For Shizzle. Yep, made his debut with Dr. Dre, 1991, with the song called Ace 187 of the Undercover Cop. That's from the movie Deep Cover. And then he went on his own, had some hits, including What's My Name? Snoop Doggy Dogg. And churning out some hits during the 90s and still performing in the 2000s. So we'll put SNOOPPDOG at number 9. Who should be at number 8?
Oh, um, let's do. Oh, this is so hard. Aretha Franklin.
The Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, made her debut nationwide in 1967 with her number one hit, Respect. She had won Grammys. She had won American Music Awards. She has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1987 and a Kennedy Center honoree for the class of 1993. She had been churning out some hits during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. She did some remakes, including a remake of Stevie Wonder's Until You Come Back to Me and the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash. She have sung gospel. She did two gospel albums, including Amazing Grace in 1972 and One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism in 1987. But the first time that I've seen Aretha Franklin perform was back in 1998 at the Grammy Awards live on CBS. Who would never knew that Aretha would sing opera? So I was watching the Grammy Awards, and Luciano Pavarotti was supposed to perform, and he wasn't feeling well. So the producers of the Grammys had came to Aretha and said, "Can you do this?" And Aretha said, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." When I saw that performance, I would never knew that she would do opera. And it was a standing ovation. Everybody was saying, "Bravo, bravo." And then most of the people were in tears when Aretha was singing opera. So Aretha can do it all, whether it's soul or gospel, and yes, even jazz. She did a jazz album was unreleased tracks, and yes, opera and pop. So we'll put Aretha Franklin at number 8. All right, who should be at number 7?
Okay, let's say Rihanna.
Okay, Rihanna. Okay, Riri at number 7. She came on the scene back in the early 2000s and wonderful. She is still performing today. We'll put Rihanna at number 7. Who should be at number 6?
Oh, Nina Simone.
Nina Simone, singer and activist. She's known for her songs, including Young, Gifted, and Black, and many others. Been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we'll put Nina Simone at number 6. All right, we're up to number 5.
Mm, Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe, singer and actress. She's best known for her outrageous stuff and everything. So we'll put Janelle Monáe at number 5. Who should be at number 4?
Beyonce.
Yes, Beyonce representing Houston, Texas. She came on the scene, became a group of Destiny's Child, went on her own in 2003. She had some albums, including Dangerously Crazy in Love, Who Will Break My Soul, and her country album, Cowboy Carter. It was number one on Billboard's Top 200 Albums charts and number one on Billboard's Country Albums chart. She won a Grammy Award for Best Country Album. So we'll put Beyonce at number 4. We're up to number 3.
Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Okay, Jackson 5.
Yes, the Jackson 5. Michael, Marlon, Tito, Jackie, and Jermaine came on the scene in 1969 with their debut hit, I Want You Back. Other hits including The Love You Save, ABC, Never Can Say Goodbye, Dancing Machine, and when they left Motown for CBS Records, Jermaine wasn't in the group, so they added Randy. So they were still churning out hits during the 70s with Enjoy Yourself, Let Me Show You the Way to Go, Shake Your Body Now Down to the Ground. So when Michael was on his own, breaking through and everything. So we'll put the Jackson 5 on there. And yes, they had their Saturday morning cartoon show on ABC Saturday morning. So they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1997, the Jackson 5 at number 3. We're up to number 2.
Oh, oh no. Okay, Frank Ocean.
Frank Ocean, one of today's hip hop and R&B. So we'll put Frank Ocean at number 2. All right, who should be at number 1?
Okay, I have to say Michael Jackson.
Ah, yes, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. As I mentioned, he toured with his brothers. And then when Michael Jackson went solo with Got to Be There and theme from the movie Ben and Just a Little Bit of You. And then by 1979, when he teamed up with Quincy Jones with Off the Wall, had some hits, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Off the Wall, and then his second LP, Thriller, that had You Want to Be Starting Something, and Thriller, The Girl Is Mine, PYT, Billie Jean, number 1 on Billboard's R&B Black Singles charts for 9 weeks. He won an American Music Award back on January 16, 1984, swept the whole night. And then his third LP, Bad, he turned out hits as well. He's best known for doing music videos like 15 minutes. And
Mhm.
his music video, Thriller, directed by John Landis and appearance by the late Vincent Price. His other music video, Bad, had appearance by an upcoming actor, Wesley Snipes, directed by Martin Scorsese. And the other one, Black or White, once again directed by John Landis. Appearances by Macaulay Culkin, George Wendt, and Tess Harper, and Tyra Banks. And of course, Remember the Time. That was another music video with cameo appearances by Eddie Murphy, Iman, and Magic Johnson. So there we have it, the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. Well, Sil-A, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with me. Continued success on your music endeavors and also your record label, where your motto is for creativity, by creativity, for independent artists who like to have their own music creativity and creative control and not to be used by corporate endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'd love to share my music with anyone. You can find me. My Instagram is DefineZilla, and my artist website is ethersilla.com. So I'll be releasing a lot of new music as well as my company, Ehelia Records. So be sure to stay on the lookout for what we have in store for the rest.
Okay. Download all the artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. Make sure you follow Sil-A. Look for her at EheliaRecords.com, Instagram at Sil-A, that's SIL-A. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram and check out all of her music videos on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this episode, please subscribe by going to the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And yes, I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting onto riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Go to the Patreon homepage, use your email and password, and you'll see all of the Patreon shows by different creators. Make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, where you get a chance to see all of my audio podcast episodes and video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on to patreon.com, I will be posting this episode on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, go to the YouTube homepage, and type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience. Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience Podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe by going to riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And also check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Visit facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. As always, partying, remember this. Reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and please be safe.